So High Rise is basically all from the point of view of Tom Hiddleston's character, who is a doctor, very middle class, and he goes to stay in this brand new block of flats in the 70s, kind of late 70s, possibly early 80s. And he is at like the very middle of these block of flats. I think he's floor 25. And then you've got like the really posh nobbos at the top, Jeremy Irons' character, who is the architect who's built this whole thing, who's got a fabulous penthouse and gardens and a horse. And then you have the working class families, for example Luke Evans, who plays like a sort of quite rough TV cameraman, and then his wife, who's played by Elizabeth Moss, who I think was brilliant in this, and it's basically just a kind of massive social political commentary on society. Yeah, can you have a social commentary on society? Is that not just social commentary? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's the kind of the story of just this sort of war breaking out, isn't it? Between the classes, between the floors. What starts off as kind of everyday things of, oh yeah, the power's gone on my floors. When are the people upstairs going to fix it? To suddenly, people kind of killing each other and eating each other and having orgies in each other's flesh, and it just gets more and more absurd, doesn't it?
Yes.
Basically?
It's a real surreal kind of movie, actually.
Yeah, this is not, in no way set in the real world.
Not really, no. And there's all these kind of riots that go on when the lower classes realise that the power has been kept from them and everything going a little bit wrong within the building, and this perfect life that has been sold to them actually isn't so perfect. And there's something about this tower block that is so almost impenetrable, and people can't really get in or out, despite they can, but they just don't seem to want to.
Well, it's got everything you need there, hasn't it? So it's kind of taking the piss a bit out of these all-purpose tower blocks that were introduced in the 70s in London. That was like, you have your own shopping centre and you have your own gym and squash court and gardens, and it's literally like you don't actually have to ever leave there if you don't want to.
Apart from your job, maybe.
At your doorstep, apart from your job. It's kind of every little real life thing like that, but magnified times 1,000 in this film, isn't it? So yes, there's the temptation that you might not have to leave much. Therefore, in this film, they never leave, and to the point where there's just all out sort of carnage by the end of the film, isn't there?
Yeah, because there's riots and then there's partying, and then it kind of gets to a point where they're almost the very beginning of the film starts with the end of the film. So you sort of see Tom Hiddleston in this really kind of degenerate state, and you see him like petting this really gorgeous like husky dog, and then suddenly the dog's hind leg is on a spit and he's just spit roasting this dog, and it's really awful. And it's this moment you're kind of like, what the hell? And then it takes you right back to the beginning, and it says like 3 months earlier, and then you can't believe that these events have taken place in 3 months.
Tower block,
and it's really funny, so I've seen this twice now. I saw it yesterday for the second time, and you do notice there's just so much going on. So I think, first of all, we say it's directed by Ben Wheatley.
Yes.
So it's going to be several shades of fucked up.
Yes.
By the fact that it's Ben Wheatley directing it. Written by J.G. Ballard, who did Crash.
Yeah.
Yes, so it is incredibly fucked up, and it's so dystopian. It's like primary example of you think it's utopia and then it all goes completely the opposite.
Tits up, yeah.
And I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was inspired. It was crazy. I had no idea what was going to happen from scene to scene. It was like they didn't know what was going to happen from scene to scene. Yeah,
it is completely unpredictable. I loved it as well. It's been a while since I saw it. I watched it for the first time with you at London Film Festival
back in October.
Last October. And you've seen it again since I didn't get to see it a second time. For once, this isn't a film I've seen 3 times. But I would really like to. I absolutely loved it. And I'm a massive Ben Wheatley fan. So I came into it very, very excited. I don't think it's the best film he's ever done, but I think it is really, really entertaining. And I remember when we went to see it, there were at least, I think, 2 people that just left midway through the screening. And I heard somebody go, I can't sit through this any longer, and left. So it, like you said, it's really divisive. I think some people really hate it.
Yeah.
I've read some really, like 1-star
damning
reviews of it.
I know.
Because it's so weird. And it completely, what starts off like quite a normal sort of, drama, almost like kitchen sinky drama, becomes this complete absurdist, out there, deranged kind of black comedy, doesn't it? That is. It's almost. You kind of descends into
Beckett type
Yeah, it does.
stuff.
It does.
With kind of, you don't really know what everyone's kind of waiting for, if there's going to be an end point, if this is just kind of what they're going to be doing for the next however long.
Yeah. They're stuck in this loop almost. Yeah, it is like that. And it actually reminded me of a lot of theatre, of like the sort of British theatre of the 60s and 70s. Obviously, it was written in the 70s by J.G. Ballard, and I think it has that feel to it of those plays like Joe Walton plays and
Joe Walton,
those kind of really absurd, out of this world, ridiculous extravagance that it kind of descends into.
It does almost go into a bit of the Sarah Kane the shocking moments as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's got a lot of that sort of feel to it, definitely, where it's like it's sort of society crumbling. It's the whole sort of...
so quickly, it's like minute by minute something else is going horribly wrong, and they are just exposing humanity in all these horrific ways.
Yeah, well, it's like the whole of humanity, or the history of man, condensed into 3 months in a tower block, isn't it? Really, it's like at the beginning it's so idyllic and it's sunny, and Tom Hiddleston is like naked, and it is almost this like Garden of Eden-esque
although that was quite funny.
Because
he's like naked on a little orange sunbed on his concrete balcony. And then Sienna Miller nearly smashes a bottle of champagne on him by accident, and so it begins. Almost I think that was quite a good sort of foreshadowing of what happens. Just this bottle of champagne, something that represents decadence, actually being the kind of the crux of everything that goes wrong.
I think
that was a really wanky thing to say, but I quite liked it.
I liked it. I think it's I did find it more difficult to watch as it went on. So loved the first hour, and then in the second hour, and I know this is the point, it gets so indulgent and over extravagant and over the top and deranged that it's quite exhausting, isn't it? I mean, I don't know how you found this watching it a second time, but I remember thinking, oh my god, like I don't really know where this is going or what's happening anymore. And it gets to the point where they're eating each other, they're eating animals, there's orgies. It's just so incredibly over the top that it's funny, and if you just go with it, you enjoy it. But there were parts where it lost me a little bit in the second half.
It does get so extreme and exaggerated, and everything is so nuanced. And Ben Wheatley has taken this idea and actually found, apparently the book is exactly so crazy.
Yes,
but I think I'm amazed that he managed to make it into a film that's this good. The camera work is brilliant, and there's so much going on in terms of like the lighting and the editing.
There's always just so much stuff going on in the frame at all times.
If you took a snapshot, it looks like one of those big portraits that you might see in the National Gallery of like some massive debauched party.
Yes, exactly.
And I love studying those, because you see new things in like literally every little tiny square centimetre. It's exactly like that with this film.
It is, and everything
down to the carpet, the shag pile carpet.
And it's the same as what Ben Wheatley did with Field in England as well, and a couple of his other films. I think there's moments in Kill List like this as well, where it's like it looks almost tableau-esque, like it is like those old paintings you see of like The Last Supper and things like that, of like people sat around a dinner table, or everything is kind of quite exquisite looking in the frame, kind of thing.
And even characters like Luke Evans, who he's a really nasty piece of work, but you're kind of on his side in a way.
I think Luke Evans stole it.
It's the best. He's a better actor than Tom Hiddleston.
Well, I don't actually think he's that good in a lot of things, but in High Rise, I thought it was, again, like you said, I think he really played to his strength, because he was brilliant. Maybe he just had more of an interesting part than Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, he
really
did.
Tom Hiddleston is the man, like you said at the beginning.
He's the straight man.
He's the man that's sandwiched in the middle of this madness with the crazy bourgeois top floor people and the rough working class bottom floor people, and he's just the straight man that's caught in the middle, basically, isn't he? So naturally the people that are the more extreme have the more interesting characters, I suppose. But I think Luke Evans played it better than anyone else.
Yes, and he did have a lot more to do. But then his character goes on such an up and down journey as well, from being
he's a monstrous character at times.
Yeah, he really is.
I did feel the whole film was really had that kind of oppressive claustrophobic atmosphere as well. Like I think that's part of what I found quite frustrating frustrating, and in a good way, I think. But I kind of just wanted to be like, get out of that fucking tower block, you know? Like, you feel so enclosed.
Yeah.
You
Just leave.
Just leave. Just walk out the front door and go.
Even
know?
the people who do get outside the front door immediately come back again. It's so weird. And it's so dark. And you're like, why? And there's no reason. There's nothing stopping them from leaving except their own sort of perceptions.
Their own kind of consumerist urges, though, isn't
and
it?
It's I thought it was such a brilliant sort of comment on society and of Thatcherism and that whole era.
That's all it is, really.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Every character.
Well, I suppose
is
it's very
monstrous.
pro-capitalist, isn't it?
Grotesque. I think that's the best word to sum it up, actually.
Yeah.
Grotesque.
I just thought it was
really fascinating, and I can't wait to watch it again.
I think I just loved it. I thought it was so entertaining. It was so extreme, so different from anything else I've seen. But I can 100% understand why people hate it.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to everyone.
I don't know if I could even recommend it to most people.
And it's weird because I was about to say, I don't know if it's as accessible as Ben Wheatley's other films, but it probably is. Ben Wheatley's other films aren't accessible. I don't think Field in England is still the most out there film he's done, but this I think has it's the most mainstream, and it's the most commercial film he's done with the biggest cast and obviously the biggest budget. But that doesn't mean that it's in any way more conventional. It is just as messed up as all of Ben Wheatley's other films, and don't expect a kind of neat, satisfying story. I
think it's a really good one. That. It's a really good film to go and see if you want to sit down in the pub afterwards and have like a proper in-depth discussion about it from beginning to end. It's not one that you're going to forget as soon as you leave.
Yeah, and it's got some great music in it as well.
Really excellent.
A really good version of Portishead covering, is it SOS? The ABBA song?
Yes,
SOS,
the ABBA song. Yeah, they kept playing
excellent.
it all the way through. It was that's really haunting, actually. You've never been so kind of disturbed by ABBA. Well, maybe you have.
We've all been there.
Cool, so I would give this. I was thinking I might give it 10. I'm going to give it 10.
Oh, you're giving it 10?
Yes, I'm going to give this 10.
Amazing. I'm going to give it 8. I think. I liked it a lot, but for me, this wasn't. There's a couple of other Ben Wheatley films I would give 10 out of 10, and to me, it's not as up there as his others, but it's still better than most other films out at the
Full
moment.
stop,
it's so interesting, and I'm definitely, it's one of those films that I'm going to want to buy and watch over and over again, definitely.
It's just brilliant to see, like you say, it's brilliant to see someone doing something different.